on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
So, good evening, everyone. So we've been journeying through the wasteland. So last week we slowly began the first part 1, burial of the dead. That's how it is entitled. As I mentioned, burial of the dead is the church service of burying people. So in some way, here also the burial receives some kind of emphasis in a certain way. We began with the famous first line. What's that?
April is
April is the words. So usually the most beautiful one. He begins by saying, or for people in the wasteland, that is the cruelest month. April is the cruelest month, he saying, because memory and desire come alive. Memory is past, desire is future. So both these things, memory and desire, when they are alive, people start coming alive. But then for dead people, especially in the wasteland, they have no past, no future, no life. But then stirring of life is disturbing. Stirring of life will bring in problems. So any memory, that will bring in problems. Any future thirst and hope and or desire, all this can be very powerful things that will bring a person alive, but they don't want life. They are comfortable in winter, covered in winter snow. That is the situation. And suddenly we shift to that woman, her childhood memories. Her name, you remember? Marie Larish.
I just saw the YouTube video today. So for me, the class is fresh. Yeah.
Marie Larish. You have to give it? Also,
Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear.
This will make it better.
and you have to bring in the presentation there also?
No, it's shared.
No.
So they see it. So, yeah.
You are the technology person, I don't know. So Marie Larish, again, she is in the past. What we have to presume, some deep wounds are now made her a drifting person. He said, I read much of the night and go south in the winter. So indications of a drifting life, mainly due to some of the deep sexual wounds that must have happened in her, or bad experiences that must have happened in her life. And then quickly we hear the voice of the narrator journeying through the wasteland. And we get some narration description of the wasteland, where it is only a heap of broken images and shadows and no real life. Then we came up to line 30. I will show you fear in a handful of dust. Some very powerful imagery there. Anyway, some of us have already started the handful of dust. Some of us will start day after tomorrow.
dust. So it is a fear in a handful of dust. I think also today's reading from what was the first reading in the Latin Mass about Ecclesiastes. I think it's from Ecclesiastes. It is a all a lot of images of transience and inability to grasp. So fear and a handful of dust. Quickly, we are going to a German quotation. Again, this will be keys again and again repeated. We are, let me give you a background, then we will go. Or maybe you can, can you read and translate the German lines,
Yeah, sure.
the poem? Yeah.
Frisch weht der Wind der Heimat zu, mein Irish Kind wo weilst du. So that would mean fresh, like a fresh wind or breeze is blowing towards the homeland or towards some other country. And my Irish child, where are you staying?
This is from one famous opera, Tristan und Isolde. Tristan and Isolde. A love story, of course. Tristan is the man and Isolde is the woman. Tristan and Isolde. This is a 1865 opera written by Richard Wagner, famous German composer, opera writer, about the ill-fated affair between the knight Tristan and the lady Isolde. Now, the opera is based on a medieval romance that was absorbed into the Arthurian tradition. We were talking about King Arthur and Arthurian tradition. So many stories, old stories have been integrated into Arthurian tradition. This one is also integrated into the Arthurian tradition. Perhaps, Eliot, through a variety of traditions from various European literature and art, here it's opera, different stories. He is bringing alive the present predicament of the modern world today, modern European world. Now, the quoted scene occurs, this present scene. This is near the beginning of the opera. Now, Tristan, he's the knight, we said, he's escorting the captured Isolde by ship to Cornwall. So this is a ship and a sailor is singing. Fresh is the wind. Again, second line is?
Der Heimat zu, towards the...
the wind is blowing. The fresh wind is blowing homeland. And they are also going homeland. Now, the story is this. The principal character is a famous medieval, this is a Celtic legend. This is from a Celtic legend. And this has been reworked by different, in different situations. And one of the reworking is, Wagner's, Wagner's opera. Now, young Tristan, he goes to Ireland to ask the hand of Princess Isolde for his uncle King Mark of Cornwall. So he is put in charge of bringing this girl for his uncle. Now, there, of course, there has to be fighting. He kills a dragon. He has to kill a dragon and save the country. So he does all that. He's a very courageous knight, Tristan. And he succeeds in his mission. But then, while he was returning, he happens to read unawares, without knowing, he happens to read some love potion that was prepared by the queen for her daughter and King Mark. So, this love potion, unfortunately, he drinks the love potion. His uncle should have drunk it. He was a very faithful, proper knight. Very faithfully bringing this lady. But unfortunately, something happens and he drinks the love potion. Henceforward, the two are bound to each other by an imperishable love that dares all dangers and makes light of hardships, but does not destroy their loyalty to the king. So he's torn between, he's a real knight loyal to his uncle, the king. But again, he's also deeply, in love with Isolde. Now, it goes on. This is early part. Later he comes back and the king discovers the love and he's, imprisoned, and then she goes back, but finally, of course, it has to be a tragic end. Both of them die as they finally they meet, but unfortunately, some I know you can read it. Anyway, this is from this perennial love story of Europe, Tristan and Isolde. But one question is, what has happened to that love? That pure, glorious love of, traditional love. Is it there? Continue. Now, suddenly there is another quotation from Wagner's opera to a quick, another shift. You gave me hyacinths first a year ago. They call me the hyacinth girl. Yet when we came back late from the hyacinth garden, your arms full, and your hair wet. I could not speak, and my eyes failed. I was neither living nor dead, and I knew nothing. Looking into the heart of light, the silence. Suddenly here there is a quick shift to, we don't know the name of the girl, but she's called, everyone called her the hyacinth girl. Hyacinth is a very beautiful purple flower. Hyacinth. I think it is some symbolic of love. Now, you gave me hyacinths. Somebody must be a lover giving flower. You gave me hyacinths a year ago. And so everyone called this woman hyacinth girl. Of course, something happens. It's only suggestive. We are not told what exactly is happening here. But when we came back later from the hyacinth garden, your arms were full and your hair wet. I could not speak. Maybe, but she's not joyful. They're not celebrating. Hair wet. Have they had an escapade, a sexual contact, which now all the excitement of the pure love is gone? Is it so? My eyes failed. I was neither living nor dead. I knew nothing. Anyway, looking into the heart of light, the silence. Looking into the heart of light, the silence. Now, there is a reference here, the heart of silence. But then the heart of light, the silence. But anyway, somehow the poet is placing alongside this pure love of Tristan and Isolde, a love of a girl and a young man, maybe. We have to imagine. But then a love, maybe that was, lost track, disappointed, ending in a very hollow kind of silence. And the last line, German.
You und leer das Meer. The sea was empty.
the sea was empty. Again, that line is from Wagner's opera. His song, the continuation of the sailor's song. The wind was blowing, but now the sea was empty. Here, this lover's love has also gone empty. What are we saying? Once upon a time, love was so beautiful. It was so glorious, so romantic. Today's love is perhaps they have the enjoyment. Finally, it becomes so tasteless and so fruitless and disappointing it has become. First, it was Marie la Riche. Now it is Heisenberg. Another experience. Somehow, at the root of culture, there is love. Well, the beauty of culture is love, man-woman love. This is always a celebrated, flower of culture, art, music, everything. But today, in the wasteland, it has lost all meaning. The relationships have lost all its nobility and depth. Now, one reference here is the heart of light. Are you familiar with anything? Heart of darkness? Yes? Any idea?
Conrad?
Yeah, Conrad. Have you read any of Conrad's? Which one? This one?
Darkness,
Very good, very good, very good. Anything you remember? Yeah.
I read it a long time ago.
Ah.
He's in the Congo.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
it's really cobwebs.
Yeah. It's a yeah.
Yeah, I read it a long time ago. I don't know how long you read it.
That's aging you.
What do you remember of it? Yeah.
I just remember the Congo. It's,
Yeah.
So like they're on the river
Yeah.
Oh,
and they're looking for the guy.
Yeah.
They're trying to
Marlowe. He's
Marlowe.
Marlowe. Yeah. Marlowe. He this is Joseph Conrad is a British novelist. Joseph Conrad. He was actually he's a Polish origin. That's what I remember. He's from Poland, but he came to England. He learned English and wrote novels in English. And most of his novels he was a sailor. He's a seafaring man. So almost all Conrad's novels have got to do with sea. And one of his novels, very famous, from India, one ship is transporting a lot of Muslim pilgrims to Mecca. In between, something happens, and the ship is hit by something, and it starts sinking. But these white sailors have got only utmost contempt for these, one thing, these dirty, these people who are being transported. Anyway, all the white, the captain and the sailor, they escape from the ship, thinking that the ship is sinking. Actually, the very strong moral custom of ships is that the captain will never leave. Only after everyone is saved, only the captain will leave. It is that way. Now, they leave. What happens is that the ship didn't sink. It was saved. And it was, pulled to, it was taken to by another passing ship. They saw the cries of people, and it was actually, sinking, but it was taken and everyone was saved. But then the whole story is the guilt of this captain. He is now hiding. He is now so ashamed that way. Now, in the same way, it's a very, Joseph Conrad's, Conrad's novels are, the seafaring background, but with such depth of psychological perception and, strange human predicaments. Here, this is Charles Marlowe. Now, he tells his listeners the story of his assignment as a steamer captain for a Belgium company in the African interior. Now, this is widely regarded as a critique of European colonial rule in Africa. Now, Africa is often called, the dark continent. It is called the dark continent. But the contrast is perhaps in the novel, it is not Africa that is dark, but the heart of white man is dark. And then, so Marlowe finally is met by, he's met by one Kurtz, an ivory trader. And he goes and, he goes and meets him. And he's given a letter, of course. Then when he is dying, what he's saying is the horror. That's how he dies. How he dies. But then with the letter, he goes back and he meets his old, lover. And he asks, what was the last word he was saying? Actually, Marlowe was saying horror. But Kurtz goes and tells him your name he was repeating as he was dying. That's what he says. But then the heart of darkness, when he's saying heart of light, looking into the heart of light, immediately the readers are reminded of Marlowe, heart of darkness. The heart of darkness is the dark soul of these venomous colonialists who, exploit and subjugate the innocent Africans. That is the picture. Okay, so another little picture of Hyacinth girl, her failed love, and again the dry sea. What is that last line? Desolate and empty sea of Tristan and Isolde. Empty sea. Then we continue. Another very interesting character comes in. Who is that? Yes. Madame Sosostris. Madame Sosostris. Anyway, the name itself is So-so. We say, no? So-so. He's so-so. How is he? Oh, so-so. I mean, can't say nothing. You want to say not useless, but nothing good. So this madam is so stressed. Madam.
It may be hard for Americans to understand that thing, but that is very common in German. Like if you're asking how are you, you can give this answer, salala. That means so. That means it's not good, it's not bad. It's a very, very common thing.
Colorless. Useless, not useless, colorless. So Madame Sosostris. Now here comes the great Madame Sosostris, famous clairvoyant. You know who is a clairvoyant? Yes, seer, future, a predictor, or she's one who is able. So they go into a mesmeric state, and they, talk about luck, all that. So Madame Sosostris, famous clairvoyant, had a bad cold. Suddenly, had a bad cold. Now I think of a little funny, it is they say in Malayalam, but then there's they have this. Usually they present things in a very glorious way, and suddenly deflate it with some passing remark. For example, there's a Alexander Pope. They've got these, funny. They write in the tone of great, there's the glorious old epic poems. But then suddenly, in that style, they write, but sometimes the content is something very silly. One of his famous poems, Alexander Pope's famous poem is Rape for the Lock. So the poem begins in a glorious way about this beautiful woman and all that, but the story is about her little hair, the little lock of hair, about which great big people are fighting about this lock of hair. So this is the mock epic, they call it. Mock, that the whole genre is called mock epic. They say this is an epic style, but then the subject matter is something very foolish. It's a big way of making fun of this thing. In the same way, there's Madame Sosostris, famous clairvoyant, had a bad cold. She had a bad cold. So she's entering, blowing her nose, and she's entering in the glorious way. Nevertheless, is known to be the wisest woman in Europe. So this is the wisest woman. So we can think of the rest of the people. So Madame Sosostris is the wisest person. So everything else is below that. With a wicked pack of cards. How is it called usually? Tarot cards. The wicked pack of cards. You know what is this tarot cards? So they have these set of cards, and then they will, and this woman will go into a trance and all that, and then she will pick from one or the other. You know how they do it in India? Parrot. The parrots pick it. The parrots pick it easily. But then they pick it. They have these set of cards. I think 40 something cards. And then from these cards, one or the other would be picked. And then they start talking about your future, your prediction, this and that. They'll predict. Now, in the following description, a number of cards are mentioned. But before that, there's a Madame Sosostris. Madame Sosostris. This is from Aldous Huxley's, a famous novel from one of his, which novel? Chrome Yellow. Yes, slide maybe. Chrome Yellow. From its Chrome Yellow, there's a gypsy woman with the name Sosostris, the sorceress of Ecbatana. Sosostris, the sorceress of Ecbatana. There's a character. So we should imagine that in that this Sosostris is a this name is taken by Mr. Skogan when he poses as a fortune teller at a fair. So this man, Mr. Skogan, he pretends to be a fortune teller at a fair. You go to affairs and they fortune and disguised as an old woman, he dispenses vague, grim fortunes. He predicts a war and tries to arrange a tryst with a local girl. So here, Sosostris touches on several topics that are key themes in the wasteland also. So Huxley's Sosostris. It's a man, of course, pretended as an old woman. So it talks about war, sex, pessimism about the future, Now, all this is perhaps this cross-dressing fortune teller. Huh? Cross-dressing fortune teller. What does that evoke for us?
Even what he is portraying as himself is already just like deceptive.
Yeah, it is there. It is there. But then man, woman, seer. Yeah, narrator. You remember? Tiresias. Suddenly, if you are familiar with it, this is the Tiresias theme again. Man, woman, then seer, fortune teller. So another, so Madam Sastras, anyway, this is not very, but then these themes, they are again brought back again. Now these, we are also introduced to these tarot cards. T.S. Eliot writes in his notes about the poem. He says, I'm not familiar with the tarot card very much, but I have obviously departed to suit my own convenience. And he mentions some. We are going to see some of these cards that are mentioned. We'll read it and then we'll come back perhaps. So she comes with a wicked, it's called a wicked pack of cards. It's not wicked, it's fortune telling. For them, it's not wicked. Wicked pack of cards. Here, said she. So somebody is there. Now, in literature, we are so familiar with the one style of poem called dramatic monologue. Robert Browning is perhaps a master of dramatic monologues. In a dramatic monologue, the poem, one person is speaking. Only the person, for example, Fra Lippo Lippi, he's a monk. Fra Lippo, the famous monk, famous painter monk of Middle Ages. And this is Robert Browning's poem, Fra Lippo Lippi. So he's a famous this thing. Then he is speaking. He is maybe assigned by a big nobleman to paint some picture maybe of Last Supper of Christ. He's a famous painter, Fra Lippo Lippi. Then he's painting, but then of course during the painting sessions in the night there is this what was to be tomorrow. They have this they have this celebration, no? Carnival. The big carnival is going on. He couldn't control himself. He's in the first floor, upper room, painting. But in the midnight, he gets all the curtains and makes a rope and escapes, and running after women that he's going. In between, he's caught by police. The police catches. So in the whole narrative, we know that he's talking to the policeman. And he's telling the policeman, I am Fra Lippo. And this nobleman's the same. But what can I do? When I'm here, how can I control myself? So I jump. I'm traveling. And this, that. I'm running around. Now I'm returning. I have to go. So, but keep your light away, a little bit away. All this. So from his talking, we are only given the talk of Fra Lippo. This is what I'm saying. This is what you call dramatic monologue. So we are given the words of one person, but as this person is speaking, we come across whatever is happening around and the whole picture comes alive for us. Here also what I'm saying is, in a way, the same technique is used by Eliot. This is a dramatic monologue in a way. We don't know who is standing or how many are standing in front of her, but she's saying, hello, here it is. Saying, here, her words now, here, said she, is your card. The drowned Phoenician sailor. The drowned Phoenician sailor. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Look, here is Belladonna. the lady of the rocks, the lady of situations. Here is the man with 3 stars. And here the wheel. Here is the one-eyed merchant. And this card, which is blank, is something he carries on his back, which I am forbidden to say. I do not find the hanged man. Fear death by water. We go back again. So she is taking the different Phoenician sailor. Here again, the sailors come back again. The Phoenician sailor will come back again. These sailors, again, one card is the sailor, again, watery life. We hear about that sailor's death also, we hear later. The Phoenician sailor. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Look. Are you familiar with this by any chance? By any chance? Those are pearls that were his eyes. It goes like this. Full fathom thy father lies. Of his bones are coral made. Those are pearls that were his eyes. Nothing of him that doth fade. No, you haven't studied. If you have studied, you would remember. This is from Shakespeare's The Tempest. The Tempest, you know. Shakespeare's last play. Perhaps a play of reconciliation, a play of love, play of magic. One of his most beautiful plays. Very beautiful Christian theme, The Tempest. The central character is Prospero, an Italian lord. He was the rightful heir of his area, but then he was cheated by his brother, and with his infant, very little daughter, what's her name? Ferdinand Miranda. Miranda. They are in a leaky ship. He is pushed into the sea, hoping that he will die. And the king also, Alonso, the Italian king also, connive with him. And he is sent to die, but he doesn't die. He goes to this island. He reaches this island. But Prospero had this ability of practicing magic. He had a lot of books on magic. He practiced magic, and he goes to this island. This is a deserted island. It was inhabited by an evil sorceress. She was ruling this island. But Prospero, in a way, puts this sorceress in a tree, and the sorceress has a deformed child, Caliban, and a very good spirit called Ariel. So these become Prospero's slaves. And Prospero brings up his little baby alone. And Miranda now becomes a young, beautiful woman. At this time, he realizes that a ship is passing by this island, and all his enemies are in this island. The King Alonso, his brother Antonio, and all of us. And using his, and also the king's son, Ferdinand also. He has many things. His daughter, the father's heart is always for the daughter to get married properly. So now this is a chance for Miranda to get a good hand. So he, using Ariel, whips up a storm. So the play begins by the storm. That's how the play gets the name. The Tempest. The Tempest. The play begins by a storm. And ship, they think ship sinks. But actually, it's only an illusion. And then somehow Ferdinand is separated and he meets, actually, as he's walking away from the ship, he thinks that all have died. That's what Ferdinand thinks. Then Ariel is singing the song. This is Ariel's song. Full fathom 5, thy father lies. Your father is lying 5 fathoms deep in the sea. That means your father is dead and gone. Those are pearls that were his eyes. His eyes are now pearls because under the sea, now they have turned into pearls now already. Nothing of him that doth fade. Nothing. So everything is changing. Suddenly this is so familiar a verse because that's a very beautiful music of Ariel. Now he is putting, again, we are again told of that. And then Ferdinand meets Miranda, immediately they fall in love, naturally. And then the play goes into a thing that finally he reconciles, or rather he saves everyone and he forgives everyone. Then the play ends with his breaking of the magic wand. Finally, he says goodbye to magic and his daughter is married. They are all joined. And Shakespeare also breaks his magic wand. That's his last play. That's how it ends also. And that's a very, very, very glorious play. Now, all this is referred to here. The death, perhaps. Later also this is quoted again. Here is Belladonna. Belladonna. You want to search the Virgin of Rocks. The Virgin of Rocks, the Virgin of the Rocks, or Madonna of the Rocks. Either way. Yeah. You want to see the picture? Show the picture?
Painting.
Yes, painting. Yeah, that's it. Any of it, please. This is the Madonna of the Rocks, Da Vinci's. Leonardo da Vinci's one of the famous paintings, Lady of the Rocks, Madonna of the Rocks, in which Mother Mary is painted with, the main characters are, can you identify?
John the Baptist.
John the Baptist, Jesus, and the angel. There are two same paintings. One is in Louvre, France. The other is in London Museum. These paintings are there. Now, look at it. Lady of the Rocks. We are immediately reminded of the Madonna of the Rocks. Or the Virgin of the Rocks. But here it is Belladonna. Belladonna will mean beautiful woman. I think this is also homeo medicine's name, isn't it? Are you familiar with homeopathy? Belladonna is a homeo medicine. Okay, Belladonna, beautiful woman. Beautiful woman. Then suddenly says, Lady of the Rocks, holy woman, the lady of situations. What a form. A lady of situations, not rocks, but a flirtatious or vacillating, adapting to anyone, the lady of situations. So, for Sosostris, the beautiful lady is only lady of situations, who is ready to go with anyone. Here is the man with 3 stabs. The man with 3 stabs. Of course, 3 staffs. One thing that comes to our mind is, what's it? The 3 crosses on Calvary, isn't it? But this is also the legend of, we have been hearing about these regeneration legends in the beginning, where this was symbolizing famine and drought of the land, the 3 staffs. Now, and the wheel of fortune, again and again, the wheel comes up again. The wheel is a symbol of turning of fortune and misfortune. The wheel, constant spinning of chance getting, bad luck and good luck. And the hanged man, the wheel. And here is the one-eyed merchant. Sometimes you see these people closing one eye, but one-eyed merchant, usually merchants have only one eye. Sometimes they say. Their eye is for what? Profit. Monomaniac. They have only one drive. The one-eyed merchant. And this card, which is blank, is something he carries on his back. For anyone, what is this something carries on his back? It's a cross, which I am forbidden to see. How can she see? She is not a virtuous woman. She will not be able to see this one who is carrying something on his back. I do not find the hanged man. Again, the hanged man. For a Christian, it is Christ. She will not find the hanged man. Fear death by water. Finally, she gives the advice. Death by water. This is the theme, again and again. Death by water. I think the whole poem, death is as we saw, death is a symbol of regeneration, life, and all that. But for people in wasteland, water is dangerous. They run away from water, like mad dogs. Yeah, they fear water. Death by water. I see crowds of people walking round in a ring. We'll, in the coming lines, we'll see again this crowds of people walking round in a ring. We will hear from we'll hear from Inferno, from Divine Comedy. We'll find the scene in detail in the coming lines. But people walking in a line. Sometimes when I hear this and the other Divine Comedy thing, I often think of that which is the one, Matrix.
The film?
Yeah, film.
Yeah.
The Matrix. You remember? Are you familiar with the theme of Matrix?
Yeah.
I think that the whole human race has been trapped, and in a way they are their life is taken away, or their whole, and they are being used by some power, and they are now lifeless. They are all walking, they are all living, but not a real life. I think it's a very powerful symbolism, this Matrix. Very powerful symbolism. But then it's about the Trinity, and who is the one who comes to save?
Neo.
Neo Anderson, no? Newman. Neo Anderson, Newman. Christ. Christ comes to save. That's the Matrix, So in the same way. So here there's crowds of people walking around in a ring. No. This is still she speaking. Who? Madam Sosostris. Thank you. If you see dear Mrs. Equiton, She's sending something with somebody. Equitone, yeah, another name, like Sosostris. Equitone, only one tone, a boring lady, monotonous lady, that is equitone. Monotone, equitone. Tell her, I bring the horoscope myself. I'll be bringing the horoscope. One must be so careful these days. This is dangerous times. For the whole scene, this is the spirituality of modern times. What is spirituality now? It is telling future. Clairvoyant. This is the highest spirituality. Then everything else is below this. Perhaps this is the problem of the modern world. The spiritualities, but for Christianity, that's the greatest sin. Maybe playing with your future or unbridled desire to know future. But that is on the verge of sin. But then the whole spirituality of the wisdom of Europe, the wisest people in Europe, is around this future telling, fortune telling, which is subservient to this one-eyed merchant, which is money. Money is that which is driving them perennially. Shall we take 10 minutes more? Yeah. Continue. Unreal city. I think this is repeated again in line 207. Unreal city. Which is unreal city? Europe, London, Paris, Rome, or here, Delray Beach, may not be so much. Unreal city. Under the brown fog of a winter dawn, a crowd flowed over London Bridge. So many. I had not thought death had undone so many. Sighs, short and infrequent, were exhaled. And each man fixed his eyes before his feet. Flowed up the hill and down King William Street to where Saint Mary Woolnoth kept the hours with the dead sound on the final stroke of 9. Yeah, unreal city. Now, this is now suddenly we are reminded of Baudelaire, Charles Baudelaire, Charles Baudelaire, Charles Baudelaire. Charles Baudelaire's famous poem, The Seven Old Men. This is a poetry collection in which there is this, this is from the collection of poems called Fleur de Mal. That means the evil flowers. That is the collection. And this is from this Seven Old Men. And in it, he says, swarming city full of dreams where the spectre in full daylight echoes the passerby. I think another translation is unreal city full of dreams where ghosts in broad daylight cling to passerby. In nights, of course, ghosts come and capture us. That happens all the time, especially after midnight. No? But here it is daylight. Broad daylight, ghosts come and capture. This unreal city. Maybe what is the, maybe what is that? Maybe a little common phrase we use, unreal city. Maybe any another? Huh? Can you think of a paraphrase, another word? Ghost town. Ghost town. Huh? Ghost town. The modern world is a ghost town. In the broad daylight, ghosts come and attack people. Huh? Unreal city. Then the rest is from Inferno. Inferno is the the first book of the first section of the work, the Dante's, the Divine Comedy. The Divine Comedy. The three sections are Inferno, but Purgatory, what is it? Purgatorio and Paradiso. So hell, purgatory, and heaven. This is from, he's visiting hell, Inferno. He's visiting hell. And this is what is saying in Divine Comedy, Canto 3, lines 55 to 57. And there, behind it marched so long a file of people. I would never have believed that death could have undone so many souls. He's saying, I met such a large number of people in hell. I could never think that death had undone. So many people had been killed. There was, and their expressions are now sighs, short and infrequent. They are all short and infrequent, were exhaled. And each man fixed his eyes before his feet. That is but that is Dante. T.S. Eliot is speaking about where? London. King William Street. People are walking through the street. All dead people are walking. Look at the people. They're all dead people walking through the streets. That's when I think of Matrix. Dead people are walking, flowed. These are real places in London. Flowed up the hill and down King William Street to where Saint Mary Woolnoth, one of the very beautiful, churches that he liked very much. Mary Woolnoth kept the hours, keeping the hours, the bells ringing with the dead sound on the final stroke of 9. What's that? A dead sound on the final stroke of 9. So the bell is ringing, but actually he says it is real. Actually, when he was listening, when it was ringing, they have the ring. There's have you heard the Big Ben ringing? The 1, 2, 3, 4, na 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 na, bang, bang, bang. So he says, when this bell rings in Mary Woolnoth, the 9th bell is somehow muffled. Maybe something is a little wrong in this thing. But we have an importance here. What is the final, the 9th hour? Yeah? Jesus. Yeah. Mark 15:34. At the 9th hour, he cried out. Lama sabachthani. Eloi. So, my God, why have thou forsaken me? So, the moment of salvation, the moment of ultimate redemption, But these people don't experience that ultimate redemption here. They are still unheedful of this ringing of the bell. They are these dead people with deep sighs walking. There I saw one I knew and stopped him crying, Stetson, you were with me ships in Monday. Oh, Stetson. I was also walking. Then suddenly I meet him. Stetson, how are you? We were in ships in Mile. What is Mile? That is a Sicilian seaport. And in 260 BC, Rome won a major naval battle with Carthage here. So they were there, 260. Of course, the narrator is the old man. No? So they were chums there, fighting together. And suddenly Stetson is here. Huh? You who were with me in ships in Mile. So again, the image of these sailors, dead sailors. One dead man is walking here suddenly. And they're shaking hands. Two dead people. So shaking hands there. You who were with me in ships in Mile. That corpse you planted last year in your garden. A dead body. Remember, we put a dead body, buried a dead body there. Has it begun to sprout? Resurrected yet? Has come out? Very terrible, a terrible scene, no? We buried that person last year, no? Is he come up? Has it begun to sprout? Will it bloom this year? A corpse blooming this year? Oh, keep the dog far hence. That's friend to man. Or with his nails, he'll dig it up again. Don't keep the dogs away. Dogs will come and here there is another very famous reference here. Actually, this is from, because people who read literature will know. Another famous 17th century revenge play by John Webster, the author John Webster. These revenge plays were very famous at one period of literature all over Europe. And this is the White Devil. So there was one period the thinking that you have to take revenge. Hamlet's theme is that way, no? No. If somebody, they used to have these fights and all. These Christian people think that if somebody says something against you, you have to go and fight and kill that person. If you don't do it, something very bad. So these revenge plays, the White Devil, in which now this references to the speaker is Cornelia, her son Marcello. He was killed. But the Christian tradition earlier, if it is not a proper death, you will not be given a proper burial. Suicide and some other accidental death and all that, they will be given to the other evil portion of the cemetery. I don't know how it is said in English. In Malayalam, we say Temmadi Kuli. Yeah, we say they will be buried only there. They will not be buried in a proper thing. So here, this mother is crying about her son's improper burial, because they will not be buried there. Maybe the boy might be buried in your backyard. So she's saying, it's a longer thing, but then she's saying anyway, the birds will come and accompany him, and the other creepers will grow there and they will accompany him. All that she's crying about this her son Marcello's burial. Then finally says, but keep the wolf thence. Keep away the wolf. That is foe to man. He's an enemy to man. Because with his nails, he will dig them up again. Wolf will only watch wolf. The birds will come and sing. All these things will happen. She's in a peculiar, deranged situation, mentally deranged situation. She's, wailing about her son, and she says, "But only watch for the wolves, because in my backyard, these wild animals will come and dig up the corpse, because he's enemy to man." But T.S. Eliot shifts it here. Keep the dog. Dog is friend to man, not foe to man. Oh, keep the dog far hence. That's friend to men. Or with his nails dig up. Today, in the wasteland, we cannot even trust the most faithful allies. For millennia, man's best friend is a dog. Even dogs can't be trusted here. Love is treacherous here. Or spirituality is hollow. All relationships are, without any roots, or you cannot rely. You hypocrite lector, mon semblable, mon frère. I think it's French. Is it? Yes. Anyone? Yeah, what's the meaning?
I don't know what Zimbabwe means. Mon frère is my brother.
Zimbabwe means like something like someone who's like equal and someone who resembles.
Okay. So here, I think you, hypocrite reader, you hypocrite reader, mon semblable, my fellow man, my fellow person, my brother. This is again from Baudelaire. Now, maybe as I finish, we have to say one word about Baudelaire also. We even found Baudelaire earlier, Unreal City. And again, one more line. That's under the brown fog of winter dawn. Actually, later also this brown fog comes. Today, even the fog is brown. Usually, fog will be white, no? But here the industrialized London, even there is polluted fog. But it's not just pollution, not just in nature. Pollution is also in human beings, in our character, in our souls also this pollution. But what I'm saying is, it was Baudelaire. Baudelaire is credited with coining the term modernity. Baudelaire is an interesting French writer. He wrote essays, he wrote poems. Now he is to designate the fleeting, ephemeral experience of life in an urban metropolis. So he wanted to depict these urban. It is today in this urban life is so fleeting, ephemeral experience, no depth of experience. He wanted to portray that, which he called modernism, modernity. That's what he presented. Now, he's finally in the introduction to this poem, this book, Fleur de, Fleur de Mar. Fleur de Mar, that means the previous slide. That means these evil flowers, Fleur de Mar. He said, he calls it, you hypocrite reader, my fellow, my friend. That means you are thinking of who? Marie Lariche. You are thinking of Sosostris. You are thinking of all these people. No, my reader, you are this person. Brother Benedict, you are the person. This inhabitant of the unreal city is each one of us, not anyone else. So that's the end of the first part. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Amazing transitions with yours. It was like a drama.
Poetry became drama.
I was enjoying it.